If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast, all in one place. So, if you would like to start your podcast today and start creating, how about you download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Remember, download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. That's ANCHOR.FM to get started. Start your podcast today.
Welcome to Spoken Word Poetry Podcast. Listen in as poet and artist Ariana R Cherry features words written from her heart and performed from her soul. Every week, you will hear original poetry spoken through performance art and storytelling. Listen weekly on Anchor, Spotify, Apple iTunes, and iHeartRadio. Truth, stories, and poetry. Exactly what the soul needs.
The pandemic of 2020, COVID-19, has forced us to be creative. For some of us, it's forced us to be at home more because, we're trying to stay safe. And when we're at home more, especially when it's quiet, we tend to think a lot and we look back on the past. And we really start to compare about just how much simpler our lives probably were. For me, my simpler times was being a kid and playing outdoors and playing with all the kids and talking to all of our neighbors. I lived around a lot of seniors, and it was the best neighborhood a kid could grow up in. It was a nice, safe neighborhood. It was one where the kids from all over the block would play until it got dark in the summertime. We had neighbors behind us where we spent a lot of our times at their house. When we were either at their house or they were at ours. And I've thought a lot about that. And also, while people are staying at home, many of us aren't really going into a lot of stores anymore. While some of them have reopened, of course, with limits, mask wearing, and limited capacity. There are people who are shopping, but for some, we just don't feel comfortable spending time in those places. So we've retreated to online window shopping. That's what I like to call it, online window shopping. While I stare at all the things that I'd like to have or I add to my wish list. Occasionally, I'll splurge and I'll buy one. But you know what I miss most? Touching everything. I love to touch fabrics, especially on clothing. I love all the soft clothing. I loved all the soft, fuzzy blankets. I love smelling all the beautiful scents, the flowery scents, the fall scents. Of course, I can buy them online, and I'll smell them when they get here. Sometimes they just don't smell what I thought they might smell like. In the stores, you could always try them out first. But now, with everybody probably doing that, I'm sure it's not safe to start sniffing everything again. And as I was doing all this thinking, I came up with a poem called I Dream of Simpler Times. And even when COVID wasn't around, we dream about simpler times anyway. Because everything seemed so much simpler when we were younger. Everything moved at a slower pace. The kids played together. Everything just seemed simple. I dream of a simpler time. I was staring out the car window daydreaming about my old childhood hometown. I thought about the old neighborhood and all my senior age neighbors. The evenings that I spent playing with all the kids on the block while all the neighbors watched. And how those times were simple. So simple compared to the chaos today. We spent hours playing kickball and baseball and tag, or just running around and talking. And then we begged for extra time, so we didn't have to say goodbye to go in. And now, so much time is spent fretting about how we'll get by and stay safe. I dream of simpler times to escape the chaos. I miss those games of kickball and baseball and tag, and being able just to run around and talk. Sometimes I pray and I beg just for a minute to go back in time. All we want is just more time. And then I'll zone out behind a bright, blaring computerized screen, window shopping online at all the things that I can't touch, but can only see. Because in a certain time, it isn't safe to walk around and touch all those soft, fuzzy fabrics and shop inside those once majestic stores and be carefree. All that mindless bargain hunting, those things I might have taken for granted, it's all been taken away from me. And now, so much time is spent fretting about how we'll get by and stay safe. I dream about those simpler times. Inside my home, I raid the special hidden places in the kitchen for a treat that will bring me just a few seconds of delight. Sometimes that brings me out of the worried darkness and back into the light. But it only brings me seconds instead of minutes or hours or even a day. So I take a moment in my delight, enjoy the seconds, and pray for the chaos to go away. And now so much time is spent fretting about how we'll get by and stay safe. I dream about those simpler times. I hope for a miracle. I wish for a cure. I pray for a hope. Without this faith, there'd be no way to cope. While dreaming away, taking delight in sugary sweets or shopping on a dime may not eliminate the chaos surrounding my once protected globe. It does bring a sense of old life, of when things were so much simpler. And I don't have to spend time fretting about how we'll get by. To stay safe as I pray and hope for a miracle, just trying to keep my faith. On Spotify, you can listen to all of your favorite artists and podcasts in one place for free. You don't even need a premium account. Spotify has a huge catalog of podcasts on every topic, including the one you're listening to right now. On Spotify, you can follow your favorite podcasts so you never miss an episode. Premium users can download episodes to listen to offline, wherever you are. And you can easily share what you're listening to with all your friends on Instagram. If you haven't done so already, be sure to download the Spotify app. Search for Spoken Word Poetry Podcast on Spotify, or you can browse podcasts in your library tab. Make sure to follow me so you never miss an episode of Spoken Word Poetry Podcast. I promise you'll have all kinds of fun. Are you enjoying listening to my poetry on Spoken Word Poetry Podcast? Good! Did you know that I also write poetry collections too? You can find books written by me Ariana R Cherry on Amazon. Simply search for Ariana R Cherry under the authors in the book section on Amazon. You'll find some of my collections right there. Some of my collections include Roadmap of Our Souls, Between Light and Darkness, Twisted Past Poetry, and one of my favorite epic poems, which is also a fiction story, and it's also won the Reader's Favorite Award, Only If. Purchase any of those books on Amazon, and I promise you that you'll be just as happy reading them as you are listening to them. Thank you for your support. I always appreciate it.